Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience in order to create these amazing lives that we're choosing to create, right? What I'm discussing in this video is the best way to work yourself out of a negative space, right? Sometimes in life we find ourselves in an environment or in a space or in a situation that we didn't necessarily desire or plan for. I often see this when it comes to something that's almost right, like we got the position, but it's got the right people in it, it's got the right title and all this stuff, but it just doesn't pay enough, right? Or we have the right mate, but they have this characteristic, that one, and that one, but they are, unscrupulous in some way. I don't know, I'm just making this stuff up. That's, to me, as a prime example of when we work ourselves into a negative space. It could also be related to just your relationships or interactions with others, right? So for me, I look at that in 5 parts. And if you see me looking this way, I'm just checking out notes, right? So number one thing that I feel like is important when working yourself out of a negative space or a negative mindset, a negative situation or something that you're perceiving as negative, right? Because it may not be negative for everyone, but it doesn't matter. If you're perceiving it that way, then it's negative for you. Is accepting where you are, right? Instead of like fighting the idea that, I don't deserve this should be better, why is this happening to me, woe is me, or anything like that. The biggest thing that we have to do in life is accept where we are. Just accept it. Say, this is what's happening. This is the truth of it. This is what I'm experiencing. And these are just the realistic, hard, low down and dirty facts about the situation, And that's perfectly okay. Accepting it helps you open you up to the solution mindset. If you're not accepting that the problem or the thing or the issue or the negativity even exists, then your mind can't go into how to solve this issue, or you can't even create the environment where you can attract solutions or attract the mindset to create a better environment, right? The second part is owning your role in getting to where you are, right? So a lot of times we think, okay, this happened to me. This is something that is, pushed upon me. This is something that I didn't want. This is something that I don't appreciate. But a lot of times we avoid the responsibility of what role did I play in order to make this situation my current life, or this situation my current experience, right? I had a very recent one that I can think of, and it's still too recent, so I can't share too much of it, but like within this past week. And I was just like, man, this was one of those things that's almost good. But at the same time, I noticed the pieces of myself that I was holding back or that I was hiding in order to make this thing a reality in my space. And because of that, then it came with the perfect setup for the version of me that wasn't the full version of me, right? So I held back the way I felt about this, the way I felt about that, the way this was affecting me. So it fit perfectly for the presentation I was sharing, but it didn't fit perfectly for the whole entire person that I am at my core. So I had to own that you didn't show up as your full self. You weren't completely honest about what you wanted to do and what you didn't want to do. And so therefore you got the result of that. And when we get into the phase where we're really good master manifestors, we got to keep in mind that we're going to manifest really, really, really well. And if we're holding back any version of ourselves or lying about something that we want to do or don't want to do, we're going to get exactly what we're pushing out there, exactly what we're telling the universe we want to experience, right? So the third part about that is forgiving yourself, right? I didn't beat myself up. I don't have time for that, right? I'm human like everybody else. A lot of times we spend too much time in the space of beating ourselves up like, I should have known better than that. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why am I here? Why did I, and at some point you got to just say, because I'm human and because I'm not perfect in all of my ways and the way that I want to be presented to the world. And so sometimes because of those things, we have to forgive ourselves in whatever mindset that we, bogged ourselves down into in order to create something that we didn't want, right? And most of the time, it's like a scarcity mindset. Like, we'll take advantage of opportunities that aren't necessarily a good fit for us, or we'll date people or be in relationship with people who we know are not ultimately the fit. And when the newness wears off, it's always going to turn into the same thing. And you got to forgive yourself for that. I think forgiving yourself for that is one of the biggest aspects of not repeating those cycles, because you can tell yourself, I'm owning it. I got there, but I really know that I'm human like everybody else. I can be susceptible to a scarcity mindset. I can be susceptible to a fear mindset, a survival mindset. It's where most of us come from. So why wouldn't I latch back onto those mindsets in order to try to create in my life when I don't see some other things showing up, right? And you just got to say, hey, I'm human. I forgive myself. It's all good. So you can move forward, right? And then the fourth one in this process is surrendering to what happens next, right? So when we find ourselves working our way out of those things and forgiving ourselves, and we like throw our hands in the air, that's your step on. That's the magical step you're taking towards for surrendering. When we surrender, we're literally saying, I've done all I can do. I've given all that I can give. I've, relinquished this idea that is not working out, or this space that's not working out, or this mindset that's not working out for me, or this person or these people. I've relinquished it. And surrendering means that you're okay with what happens next, right? You're okay with things falling away if they have to fall away. You're okay with people being disappointed in you. You're okay with people disliking you because something is not working for you in your life, and it negatively impacts them to some degree possibly, but it's what you need to work on. It's something that you need to take a break from, or whatever. You have to surrender and say, I'm okay with what happens next. I'm okay if it's not exactly what I want to happen, right? A lot of times people do this with their finances when they're working in a toxic environment, because I know that to be true, right? And you're in the space, and it's like when you finally forgive yourself for working yourself into that space for so long, and then you get to the place where you're ready to surrender, that means you're surrendering your bills, you're surrendering all of your needs, your wants, and all these things that are wrapped up into what you thought this job was providing. And you're saying, I'm okay with what happens next. I'm okay with letting the chips fall where they may, right? You're letting the creator know, you're letting the universe know that I'm not trying to be in charge of this thing anymore, because when I got in front of it, it wasn't necessarily working for me. So I need to relax and be more in flow. And in order to do that, I need to surrender. And then the last one, right, is something that I am very, very, I wouldn't say not good at, but good at. But this is the thing. Some of us, when we were very action oriented, so the fifth one is taking inspired action, right? Some of us, when we're very action oriented, we figure everything is inspired action. We might do action every single day. Like every day I'm like, ooh, what could I be doing? And I'm always doing something related to something future-wise, something I want to create, or something I want to do. Now, that's just the way my brain operates. So I would never want to change that for myself. If I was frustrating myself doing it, then that would be something different. But it's really kind of a calming technique. So it's something that I need to work on more, that I know a lot of people do, especially if they're into the idea of creating a life that they choose, is sometimes it doesn't require your action all the time, right? Especially if you see yourself putting forward action and you're doing these things over and over and over again, and you're not getting the results that you want. Sometimes we got to sit back when we've surrendered, especially because when you surrender, you should be waiting for inspired action. You should be waiting for those moments, right? Because we know we can work ourselves into the ground trying to make something happen. But if it's not working out that way, or it's not getting you the results that you want to get, or you're experiencing negative things that you don't want to experience, we have to wait for the inspired action to hit us, right? We have to wait for when we're just watching some TV show on Netflix and we get some random email or somebody say, hey, did you check out this event? And then it's like, oh no, and then sending a message or whatever, and then showing up at the event, and then meeting the right people, being in the right place, having the right attitude, and all of it's coming together, right? Because I think all of us can think about many times in our lives where we were creating a lot of chaos, but not really creating a lot of results. And it's not that we didn't deserve those results. It's that those chaos, that action that we were was putting in, it wasn't necessarily inspired action, right? So we have to remember that if it's not inspired action, then it's just busy work. right? It's like when you're in a class and some things are for a grade and other things aren't, and you have to wait until the teacher chimes in and tells you what is for a grade and what are things that are just busy work, right? And sometimes the busy work is fun. It'll keep you busy. It keeps your mind preoccupied. You're not watching the clock, right? But when those actions come in, as she say, now this counts. That's the inspired actions like in your life. This counts. And so that's the ones you want to have the energy for. If you're spending too much time on all of the chaos and all of the little things and being busy and just doing a lot of stuff, then you're not necessarily prepared for the business of the inspired action, right? So those are my things: accepting where you are, owning it, being accountable for your role in it, forgiving yourself, definitely, for making those missteps that you might, you have a problem with, surrendering to what happens next in your life and just being perfectly okay with that. And then taking only inspired action, because then we can save our energy. We can be relaxed. We can be calm. We can live more in the present moment. We can be more peaceful. We can be more refreshed. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.